Hello everyone. So in this video, right, we are going to address one of the very common question that a lot of students will keep asking us. That is there a way in which we will be able to get full marks for a question in NEET without even really knowing how to approach or how to solve the question? So maybe in the common language, right, you might want to call it as a guesswork. But here, because we are going to discuss this in totality, we will be calling it as the objective approach. Okay. So what is this objective approach, and where it will be useful, and up to what extent we can be sure that the answer we are getting is the right answer. So why are we calling it as an objective approach? Is that it is not going to be total random guesswork. Okay. So if you look at the objective approach scenarios, right, generally we'll categorize them into two models. One is what we call as a methodical model, where we'll be having 100% surety in terms of getting the right answer without even knowing what is the real approach to solve the question. Okay, so while you are going to use the methodical approach, right, you might be required to have a little knowledge about that problem or the topic, or sometimes we can get the answer without even having an idea of how to approach and solve the question. Okay, with 100% surety. That is what is the methodical approach. Other one is what we call as a random, or the this is what sometimes commonly we will be also referring as the guesswork. Okay, so if you look at the methodical approach, it is not like, it's a one way of tackling each and every question. We'll have broadly 4 types in this. Okay, so one is it's a very important one, what we call as the dimensional approach or the unit approach. Okay, what is this dimensional approach or unit approach? Generally, if you look at a question where they're asking us to find an answer by giving us 4 options, that's what we'll have in the NEET examination. If only one of these answers is matching with the dimensions of the physical quantity they are looking for, like say they are asking us to find what is the speed. If only one of these answers is able to match the dimensions of speed, or the units of speed rather, then we will be able to point out that as the right answer. So even without knowing what is the real approach to solve the question, we will be able to arrive at the final answer. So we'll see some interesting question models in that. The second approach is what we call as the particular case. The particular case means generally if you have a question where there are variables, like they will not give us the numbers or quantities, they will keep the question in terms of like a, b, theta, like that. They'll keep the question in terms of variables. Now we can take a particular value for the variable. We'll be able to take a particular value, like we can take a is equal to 1, b is equal to 0, theta is equal to 45, like that, and substitute and check the answer. So this is what we call as the particular case method. We'll see. So here I'm just trying to give you an overview. We are going to look at specific models in each and every type, and then we'll be able to see how we can take advantage of the objective approach and be able to score those 1 or 2 questions extra, because so if we are able to use these techniques and score those 1 2 questions extra, right, that can sometimes make the difference between you really getting a coveted seat in the NEET examination or not. So that's the importance of these objective techniques. So for some people it might be of real good use. The third approach is answer substitution. So generally what we do is we'll be given 4 options. We'll have to take each of these options and then go and substitute and check. Okay, so here, right, you might need some knowledge. Okay, so the answer substitution, we might need some knowledge about the basic concept in that question. The fourth one is elimination. Okay, so for this we will be requiring little bit more knowledge. So we may not have sufficient knowledge to really solve that full question, but if we have a little bit higher amount of knowledge, we will be able to eliminate the other 3 options and be able to point out the final correct answer. So we'll see examples on that elimination approach also. So this is about the methodical approaches where we will be able to get the answer with 100% surety. The other side is what we call as the random tools. So in random tools, right, we will not be having surety in terms of getting the answer. So we cannot say with 100% surety that we will be able to arrive at the correct answer. It's like, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So in this random methods, right, we'll basically have the first one, which we call as a odd answer or symmetric answer for a complex question. Like you have a very complex question, right? Three options will be also given in terms of some complex formula. The fourth answer alone you will see 0, 1 like that. Very simple answer or symmetric answer. That's what we call as the odd answer. Okay. Now we cannot say with 100% surety that it is going to be the case in each and every question, but sometimes it might work. Okay, that's the reason why these random tools we don't really encourage you guys to resort to. But if say for example I am a student who is able to attempt, like out of 45 questions I am able to attempt maybe 42 questions or 43 questions, just I am left with the 2. Now by taking a chance for those 2 questions, right, we might not lose much, but even if one of them is clicking, that might make a difference in terms of what kind of an all India rank we will get. Okay, so you can look at these random tools as well. The other random tool is the most common form of answer. So this most common form of answer is also sometimes called as the examiner's question. Okay, so what is this also called as examiner's question? So why are we calling it as examiner's question? Because this is a old school of thought. Like how person who is setting up the paper, right? So the usual understanding that most of us will have is the person who is setting up the paper, first he will frame the question, he will get the answer, and from there he will try to come up with the other 3 options, because the correct answer is 1. He will try to come up with the other 3 options by making some small modifications. Maybe he will change the numerator once, he will change the denominator once. So if you look at these 4 options, right, the most common one, like numerators matching, denominators matching in multiple cases, whichever is the most common form of answer, right, that could be the correct answer for this. So this again we cannot say with 100% surety, but this question is also a type of question which we will be seeing in cases if really examiners are taking this approach to set the paper. Okay, so this is about the broad overview of what are the objective approaches that we have, and this might be kind of very much useful when it comes to questions in physics, to some extent in chemistry as well. Okay, so we'll start with the first one, which is an important one. This might really be able to, even if you look at any NEET paper, right, you might be able to see that at least there will be 1 or 2 questions for which we will be able to get the answer by using this dimensions approach, which we also call as what? The unit approach. So look at this. This is a question that has come in the 2008 paper. What is this? Particle mass m moves with a constant speed along a circular path, radius r, under the force F. So I'm assuming that I don't know anything about the concept of the question. What they're saying, mass is there, radius is there, force is there. Its speed is, they're asking us what speed. Means speed, what is the SI unit of speed? Meter per second. So my option, right, whichever is pointing to the speed should also have the, if I am substituting the units of the other quantities, I should get the unit as what? Meter per second. Now let us look at it. In option A, what is there? Root force is there. What is force? Kg meter per second square. Into r is what? Distance, meter. Divide by what is this? M is mass, kg. Kg will get cancelled. What is there? Root of meter square per second square. What is it? Meter per second. You can see option A, right, is able to match with the units of speed. You can check the other options, right, whether it is option B. Look at option B. What is option B? Root of F by R. F is what? Kg meter per second divided by R is meter. So that is not going to have the same units as the speed. We can see the other options also. Option C also will not match. Option D also will not match. Okay, so this is the dimensions approach or the unit approach. We'll see one more question. So look at this. This is a question that has come in the AFMC 2009 paper. So you are able to get it right. We are able to arrive at the final answer for the question without even knowing what is the actual concept involved in solving the question. Like I'll show you this one. Look at this. Car mass m moving with the momentum p. I don't know anything about the concept of the question. That is what I'm going with. Okay, mass is there, momentum is there. Mu is the coefficient of friction between the tires and the road. What will be the stopping distance due to the friction alone? I don't know anything about the concept. Mass is there, momentum is there, mu is there. Coefficient of friction is what? Unitless. Okay. They're asking us stopping distance. Means the final answer must have the units of distance, right? So look at this. Among the four options, right? Look at this option B, P square. Momentum square means what? Kg square meter square per second square. Because what is momentum? Kg meter per second, right? Divide by 2 is there. 2 is anyway number. M square means what? Kg square. Okay. Mu is anyway unitless. Into G is what? Meter per second square. Second square is cancelled. What do we have? That's it. So you can see that among these options, right, none of them will be having the units of the distance. You can check. Maybe you can take this option D. Take option D. P square means what? Kg square meter square per second square. Divided by 2 is a number. M is kg. You can see it will not be having the units of distance. Okay, so only one of them will be able to match with the units of distance. Okay, so this is another example that we can look at for the dimensions approach or the unit approach. Okay, we'll go to one more question. Particle is projected with a velocity v0 along the x-axis. The deceleration of the particle is proportional to the distance of the particle from the origin. So the particle is in deceleration. Okay, here, but we are going to solve the question without even having an idea of what is the concept involved. Actually, this is a little bit complicated question. Why? Because the acceleration is changing with respect to the position. It is a variable acceleration. Here, if you are really solving the question, right, we have to solve the question by using the integration approach. In this, they are asking the distance at which the particle stops. Again, here also, what is it? We need to find the distance. Distance means what? The unit must be, SI unit must be what? Meter. Okay. So look at this. What do we have? V0 is there. What is V0 unit? Meter per second. If you look at these options, right, other than V0, what is there? Alpha is there, correct? So what will be the alpha here? Look at this. Alpha will be what? A by x square, right? A is what? Meter per second square. X is position. What do we have? 1 by meter into second square. That is the unit of alpha. Now if you look at these options, right, look at option D. 3 times 3 is a number. V0 square means meter square per second square divided by 2 times alpha. 2 is a number. Alpha is what? 1 by whole power 1 by 3 is there. I'm only dealing with the unit part. Okay. So second square is cancelled. The meter will go to the numerator. It becomes what? Numerator becomes meter cube. So you will see that only in option D, right, we will be able to get the units which is equal to the unit of the distance. You can check other options, right, we will not be able to get the unit which is matching with the units of the distance. Okay, so these are the kind of questions we can see in terms of the unit approach or the dimensions approach. Now you will be able to see that the beauty of this method is we are able to get to the answer without really knowing what is the concept involved in the question, and this answer will be what? 100% correct. The only problem with this is if among the 4 options, right, if more than one answer is matching with the same unit, in that case the model will fail. This dimensions approach we will not be able to use it. When we can use it? When among the 4 options, right, only one of them is able to match with the correct unit or the correct dimensions of the physical quantity they are looking for. Okay, now we will go into the second approach, which is the particular case. So you can see here, if the angle between A bar and B bar is theta, the value of the product B cross A dot A. Okay, so generally what we call it as? We will be calling it as a scalar triple product. So this is what we call it as scalar triple product. Okay, this is also a question that has come in 2005. So here I am assuming that I know something about the vectors and their operation, but I don't know fully how to tackle this scalar triple product. Okay, so what do we need to find? We need to find B cross A dot A. That value we need to find. Okay, So why we are saying particular case is, if you look at these options, right, all the answers will be in terms of the variable form. Like you can see, they are in terms of what? ba square sin theta, ba square cos theta, ba square sin theta cos theta, 0, like that. Okay. So what we will do is, we can take a particular value. Like, either you can choose very simple values. Like I can choose b is equal to I cap, a is equal to j cap, like that. Sometimes what happens is, if you take that very simple ones, you may see that more than one option is able to give you the correct match. Then you have to go for second particular case. So to avoid it, right, what we'll do is, we will try to keep the particular case not very simple. So what I'll do is, I'll rather take b is equal to, let us say, I plus j. That's a vector. I will take a is equal to, we can take anything. So let us say a is equal to what? We will take a is equal to j. So what are we taking? We are taking b is equal to what? I plus j, and a we are taking it as what? J. Now what is the magnitude of this I plus j? Root 2. What is the magnitude of a? That is 1. Okay. And what will be the angle between them? See, this is j direction. I plus j will be along the angular bisector, right? So what will be the angle between them? 45. What will be the angle between them? It will be 45. Okay. Now we will have to just go for the particular case. So we are able to know what is the angle also. What we will do is, we will just calculate what is that b cross a dot a. So first what we will do, b cross a we will do. B cross a means what? B, which is I plus j cross j. Okay. So here what we will get? I cross j plus j cross j. J cross j is 0. I cross j is what? K. Okay. Now what we will be having is the k, that is b cross a, dot a, right? A is what? J. What is k dot j? The dot product of unit vectors along the coordinate axis, right? I dot j or j dot k or k dot I, whichever it is, right? That will be equal to what? 0. Why? Because k and j will be perpendicular. So you see, the final answer must be coming as what? 0. Now whether it is option A, b value we know, root 2, a we know, theta is what? What is the angle between the two? 45, right? This is not going to give us 0. This is not going to give us 0. This also will not give us 0. So where is 0 coming? Only in the option D. Where is the 0 coming? 0 is only coming in the option D. Okay. So this is what we will be generally calling as the particular case. So when you have a question in the variables, right, we can take a particular case like this, and then we will be able to check which of the 4 options is able to give us the correct answer. Now in the particular case method, right, if you choose like very simple particular case, like I can take b is equal to I, a is equal to j, like that I can go for very simple values. Sometimes we might not be able to clearly tell what is the answer. Okay, so this is about the particular case method, and this also is a question that has come in previous year. Now we'll go for the next one, answer substitution. Now answer substitution means, don't try to confuse this with the questions where we ourselves have to check based on the options. Like look at this question. No, this is not going to be called as answer substitution model. Why? I'll tell you. Which of the following combinations should be selected for better tuning of the LCR circuit used for the communication? So this is a question based on the alternating current chapter in +2, right? Now here they are giving us option A, resistance value, and then the inductance value, capacitance value. Option B also they are giving a combination. Here they are saying which of them will be able to give us the best tuning. So here what we need to do, we have to ourselves take option A, we have to take option B, we have to take option C, we have to take option D, we have to take, and then check in which case the quality factor, because how do we say which of them is better for tuning? Wherever the quality factor is high, right? So this is something that you will be learning in the alternating current. Okay, so when you have a series LCR, the quality factor for that is what? 1 by R into root L by C. So wherever the quality factor is high, that will be better suited for the tuning. So we'll have to take option A, calculate what is the Q1. Then we have to take option B, calculate Q2, Q3, Q4, and see which of them is having a higher quality factor. So this is not going to be called as an answer substitution. Okay, because in this question, the way they frame the question itself is like what? They want us to take all the 4 options and then come up with what is the combination of resistance and the inductance and capacitance that will be able to give us the highest quality factor. Okay, this is not the answer substitution. This is they themselves are asking us to check all the 4 answers. But what is the answer substitution question? Look at this. A quantity charge Q is divided into 2 parts. Means the Q, right, is divided into 2 parts such that the force between them is maximum. So we are dividing them such that the force between the 2 parts is maximum. We can see how you can divide them. Q by 4, 3Q by 4, Q by 2, Q by 2, Q by 5, 4Q by 5, Q by 6, 5Q by 6. For the force between them to maximum, what is the division? That is what they are asking. Remember, if you have 2 charges, right, let us say Q1 and Q2 are there. If you divide a charge means both the parts will be like charges, right? The force, because like charges will repel, the force of repulsion will be what? K Q1 Q2 by R square. The Coulomb's law formula, right? So the force has to be maximum is what? The product of the 2 part charges will be maximum. The product of the 2 part charges will be what? Maximum. Which means we have to take each of these options. Look at option A. Take the product. What is it? Q by 4 into 3Q by 4. What is it? 3 by 16 into Q square. Option B. Take the product. It will come as what? 1 by 4 into Q square. Option C. I am only taking the product of the charges. Option C is what? 4 by 25 into Q square. Option D is what? 5 by 36 into Q square. You will see that in these 4 product values, right, we are getting the product of the 2 charges that are coming after the breakdown of the charge capital Q, correct? So here we will see that the product is highest in which case? In the case option B, because what is it? What is the factor there? 1 by 4, 3 by 16, 4 by 25, 5 by 36. In that, the fraction that is highest is what? 1 by 4. So the correct answer for this is going to be, because wherever the product of the charges that are coming is maximum, right, force between the charges also will be maximum. So this is what we call as the answer substitution, not the previous type. Previous type, they themselves are giving us to go through each and every option and tell what is the correct answer, suitable answer. But this question is what we will be calling as, we will take each and every option, put it in the formula. So that is the reason why for this answer substitution, we will require some knowledge. Means what? Here we should know what is the Coulomb's law formula. Otherwise we cannot go for this answer substitution approach. Okay. Now we'll come to the last of these methodical models, which is the elimination. So elimination also we do require some more knowledge about the concept. Okay. So to use the elimination method, we will be requiring a little bit more knowledge. So what is this? Which of the diagrams shown below closely represents the variation of kinetic energy of the Earth as it moves around the sun in the elliptical orbit? So we know that if you have a sun at the focal point, the Earth will be moving around the sun in elliptical path. So the speed of the Earth will be changing continuously. When the Earth is closer, speed will be what? Highest. When the Earth is farthest, speed will be least. But speed will never be zero. They are asking how the kinetic energy will vary. Look at option A. They are saying kinetic energy constant out. Okay. Option B, they are giving kinetic energy coming zero. Kinetic energy will not be zero, right? Because as it is going in the electrical path, kinetic energy will always have some value. It will increase as the Earth comes closer to sun, decrease as the Earth moves farther away from the sun, but kinetic energy will not be zero. In fact, option C also, right? You see, kinetic energy, they are representing it to be what? Zero. This also cannot be. So what will be the right answer? Okay, so we may not know exactly what is the function. We will not know exactly what is the function that can represent this variation of kinetic energy with respect to time. But we are able to eliminate the other three answers and arrive at the right answer for this. Okay, so this is what we call as the elimination approach. Now, like I said, right, elimination approach, you might require a little bit more knowledge about the problem or the topic. Okay, so these are the methodical approaches which will be able to give us the answer with 100% surety. Now we are getting into the uncertain domain. Okay, so what is this uncertain domain? As I said, right, here we'll have what? The most common form of answer and the what is the other one? The other one is the odd answer or symmetric answer. So first we look at the most common form of answer. So here sometimes, right, I mean, I don't even need to read the question. If I'm in the mindset of going with this most common answer approach, I don't probably even need to read the question. So what I'm going to do, look at this. What is it that I have? mv cube is there, mv cube is there. Here mv square, m square v square. Where is most common? mv cube is most common. Half is there, half is there, half is there. Factor, what is the most common factor? Half. So what is the answer? Half mv cube. Okay, so I'm not even, this is probably a question related to what? The electrical pump. There is a question on the work, energy and power chapter. Okay, so I'm not even wasting my time to read the question statement, because I'm going with what? The most common form of answer. You get it? So mv cube term is repeating multiple number of times. Similarly, the factor half is repeating multiple number of times. So what is the most common form? Half should come, mv cube should come. I'm saying we may not be able to clearly tell that this is the answer with 100% surety. That is why we call it as what? The random approach. Okay, now like in this case, right, you can see I'm not wasting time to read the entire question statement. Okay, so just keep the question as it is. Now you see we have numerator. What is the numerator? Mu mgx cos theta, mu ngx cos theta. 2 times same numerator is coming. Okay, denominator cos theta plus mu sin theta, cos theta plus mu sin theta. But one more denominator is also coming 2 times. What is it? Look at the other denominator. Mu cos theta plus sin theta, mu cos theta plus sin theta. The other denominator is also coming 2 times, right? What is it? Mu cos theta plus sin theta. So here we'll see that the numerator is common in both option A and option D. The denominator is repeating. Whatever the denominator we have in option D, that is repeating. Whatever the denominator we have in option A, that is also repeating. So in this case, right, we may not be able to clearly tell. So we may have an idea using the most common form, right? We may think, okay, either it is option A or option D. If you look at what is the actual answer, right, it is option D. But we will not be able to clearly identify, because as I said, right, most common form of answer is what? It is a random method. Sometimes we might be able to clearly see that, okay, this is the only most common form. Sometimes we may arrive at a situation like this, where we may not be able to conclude the answer by using the most common form. Okay, but that is the challenge with these random approaches, right? And that is the reason why, I mean, ideally we should not be suggesting you that there is an approach like this also. Okay, so this is about the most common form of answer. Now let us go to the odd answer or symmetric answer for a complex question. So usually they'll talk about, I mean, this is not even such a complex question. Sometimes we might even have even more complex questions. Okay, there are 3 charges, equal magnitude, placed at the vertices of the equilateral triangle, side length L. They're asking us what is the force acting on a charge capital Q placed at the centroid of the triangle. Okay, so we have the odd answer is what? Among these given things, the odd answer is what? 0. The odd answer are the most symmetric answer, right? For a complex looking question, something that we may not be able to clearly tell with 100% surety that this will be the answer. And even what happens, sometimes these 2 ideas might contradict. On one side, what we are saying, go with the most common form. Other side, what you are saying, go with the odd answer. Sometimes, right, these 2 ideas might even contradict. Okay, so that is the reason why this is also what we call as the guesswork. So we will not be able to suggest this for any student, because there is hardly any approach here. Okay, other than this idea that okay, some examiner who is setting the paper, they will first come up with the correct answer and then frame the remaining three options. That is the basic hypothesis for the most common form of answer, the one that you saw, right? What is the basis for that? The basis for the most common form is that examiner will first come with the right answer. From there he will modify and get the other three options. That is the basis. The odd answer or symmetric answer, right? Sometimes examiners might frame a question where you will have a really complex scenario, and at the end of the day the final answer will be very simple one. Okay, so that is the hypothesis for this random technique of the objective approach. Okay, but these two approaches, right, we don't usually suggest for the students, but the methodical approach are something that can sometimes be helpful for us in terms of making sure that we get those extra couple of questions that can help in bettering our rank. Okay, because there is a surety of getting the correct answer. So this is about the session on objective approach to solve questions in NEET. As we said in the beginning of this video, here to answer the questions using these objective techniques, right, we may little bit of knowledge about the subject, and most of the times we are able to conclude the answer without even really reading through the full question statement, isn't it? So I hope this is useful for you guys, and probably we'll be able to come up with another interesting video. See you guys again.